Okay, so what we're working with today is graphing quadratic functions. You need to find a section with a box of 4 so that we can work on this. Okay, so once you find that section, we'll go ahead, I'll zoom in, and then we'll begin from there. Okay, so this section we are graphing quadratic functions. And so the first type you have right here is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and this is called standard form. So I get this thing to write. So that's standard form right here. And remember, whenever you have standard form, you're going to do the negative b over 2a. And that tells you what the x-axis is, or the axis of symmetry is. And so here's my equation, y equals, it's annoying, this little thing in front of it, y equals 2x squared minus 20x plus 1. So the first thing I did was I identified my a, my b, and my c. Let's make this one do it. I don't like this little arrow thing, it's driving me crazy. And so now it's negative b over 2a, so it's negative 20, so those two will become a plus over 2 times 2, so 20 over 4, which is 5. And so I get 5, and that's my x value. And so to find my y value, I plug that in here, okay? So it would be 2 times 5 squared minus 20 times 5 plus 1, and that ends up giving you negative 49, which is a huge number. But then I just graph it, and then if I wanted to write that point, that's 5, negative 49. And so it goes up and over. This one would go up 2 over 1, and it is a min. If I asked you for the domain is all reals because there's arrows going to the left and right. The range, this goes up, so y would be greater than or equal to negative 49 because that's what it goes up from. Okay, so we've done a lot of standard form. You have to remember this negative b over 2a. I will not be giving you these formulas on your exam. You need to learn those. We'll talk about that more on Monday, but writing them down some will help you memorize it. You need to have those memorized. Okay, so the second one, this is our intercept form, and that's the x and intercepts. And so x minus p, x minus q, so it's negative 2, so this tells me it goes down. Remember, your intercepts are at the opposite, so this one's at positive 3, so that's why I went over 1, 2, 3, and then this one's a plus 1 in parentheses, so it's the opposite, so that's why it's negative 1. And then remember what you do is you find your middle line. So let's change colors. Ooh, let's go to orange. I don't know what that's to look like. So I go in 1, and I go in 1. And so this is my middle point, and then that's why there's that dotted line there. Okay? And so that tells me my axis of symmetry is at x equals 1, because that's where that line is. And then once I know that x is 1, I just plug in 1 here and here, and you get a positive 8. Down here, if you're looking at this, this is another way that you can find it. I add up my x values and divide by 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that's another way you can find the axis of symmetry because it's just the midpoint between those 2 points. Okay? And so once I plug that in, this max is 8. My domain is all reals again because it goes to the left and to the right. But this time my range, it only goes down. So it's y is less than or equal to where my y is, which is 8. Okay. Down below, we are working with, oops, hold on. We are working with vertex form, whether it's x or y. Give me just a second, everything's so big. Okay, now I want to zoom in. Zoom in, now I want to draw. Oh, well, let me draw when it's zoomed in. So you guys are just going to have to deal with it being a little bit smaller. I was hoping I could zoom in. Okay, so down here, this is vertex form. And if you notice, this is a y equals. And so that means that it's going to either go up or it's going to go down. whenever you have a y equals. Over here, this is vertex. But because it's an x, it's either going to go to the right or to the left. Okay, so my vertex is always hk, and so here's the equation. And so this one tells me I go to the right or to the left 3. And then this number here tells me I go down 2. And so that's why it's to the left 3 and down 2. It's kind of hard to see this picture, but you can see I went to the left 3 and down 2 for my vertex. And then it went down 1 over 1. So down 1 over 1. And so my axis of symmetry is just the x. My max is at 2. My domain is all reals. And my range, since it went down, is y is less than. And it went down at -2. Okay, so let's look at the other one. Let's change colors out. Ooh, let's go with green. Okay, so this is an x equals. And so this goes left or right. And this time, if you notice, x is on the outside. So it goes with this outside number. And y is on the inside, so it goes with the inside number. So over here, it's the same idea. Y was on the outside, so it went with the outside number, which was k. X was on the inside, so it went with the inside number. So whatever's inside, that's what it goes with. Whatever's outside, that's what it goes with. Remember, inside, though, is opposite of parentheses. Okay? Down here, I gave you a little description of what happens. If it's positive, it goes to the right. If it's negative, it goes to the left. And so the outside is 1, so that's why there's a 1 here. And then the inside, it's a -2, so that's why it's +2. So I went to the right 1, up 2. My axis, the axis is always opposite of the equation. Since the equation was an x equals, my axis has to be y equals. And then I graph it. Okay? My domain for this one, this only goes to the right. So it's x is greater than, and it goes to the right at 1. My range for this one goes up and down, so this is the all reals. Okay, so we don't have an area for our applications, so if you want to try and squeeze it in or find an area at the end. But remember, whenever you do applications, whoa, everything got bigger. Hold on. So remember, when we have our area, I'll be able to draw on this. The things that I want you to be able to do is find out where it starts, right here, and that's the C value, and find the max point. Okay? Draw. There we go. And so the way you find your max is you do -b over 2a. And then once you find that value, you plug it back in. Okay, so those are the main things. So this one, how high does the apple go? That is actually, hold on. This thing's a pain. Okay, so how high does it go is actually the y value. Oh, it actually crossed it off. I was not expecting that. So how high it goes is the y value. So that's what you're looking for. How long does it take? That's the x value of the vertex. I'm not going to try and highlight it again because obviously highlighting doesn't work. Okay. The path of a baseball after it's hit is modeled by this equation, where h is the height and d is how far away. What is the maximum height? So that's the y value of the vertex. And how far will the baseball be from home plate when it hits its maximum? That's the x value. So you have to understand which is which. So if some of you draw a picture, which is great, that is supposed to say height. And then this one's supposed to say distance. Whoa, look at that. Okay, so you just have to be able to read it. Remember, it's -b over 2a. That's the most important thing. Okay. Earlier in the video, I think I said you had to memorize formulas. I'm still on vacation and I totally spaced out that you guys have the cheat sheet. So you don't have to memorize your formulas, but you do need to know how to use them. Okay, hope you guys are all doing well.